Welcome to World News TG, your trusted source for international news with speed, depth, and neutrality. We bring you a comprehensive view of the world, from wars and politics to economics and shifting global power dynamics. If you found today's report helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, share the video, and subscribe to World News TG for the latest updates from global hotspots. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a critical story that matters to you and the world. The Russia-Ukraine war, unprecedented escalation battlefield developments, expanding front lines, and relentless strikes recently. Russia has unexpectedly expanded its operations to include the Sumy and Dnipro regions by redeploying a significant number of troops and equipment from Crimea and Kherson. Russia appears to be attempting to establish a deep security buffer within Ukrainian territory. Notably, after capturing the town of Kostiantynivka, located just 20 kilometers from Sumy, Russia seems to be preparing for a much larger offensive. The frequency and intensity of Russian drone and cruise missile attacks have surged. Ukraine reports that in a single night, Russia launched over 300 drones and multiple missiles targeting cities such as Kiev, Odessa, Dnipro, and Chernihiv. In Odessa, an emergency medical facility was destroyed, while several residential buildings in Kiev were hit, causing civilian casualties. Despite Ukraine's air defense systems intercepting most incoming threats, the human and infrastructural toll remains severe. This has been described as one of the largest air assaults since the war began. Ukraine's counteroffensive strikes deep inside. Russia-Ukraine is not only defending, but also launching bold counterattacks deep into Russian territory. Ukrainian special forces have reportedly targeted the Savaslyka air base, home to Russian fighter jets, inflicting significant damage. Drone attacks on Russian military airfields and logistics hubs have also been carried out regularly. This drone warfare strategy, combined with precise intelligence, is putting psychological pressure on Russian command and disrupting their coordination. Prisoner swaps and slim diplomatic openings. Amid escalating tensions, both sides have conducted prisoner exchanges. Recently, Ukraine and Russia agreed to exchange injured soldiers and young prisoners of war, marking the first such operation after months of deadlock. However, ceasefire talks remain stalled. Ukraine insists on preserving its territorial integrity and seeks long-term security guarantees, while Russia aims to maintain influence over the occupied regions. International reactions and concerns, increased military aid for Ukraine. Western nations continue to boost military support for Ukraine. Germany is planning to supply long-range missiles, while Israel has transferred advanced air defense systems to help intercept drones and missiles more effectively. The deepening involvement of countries like the UK, France, Germany, and Israel highlights a strong international coalition backing Ukraine against Russia's prolonged military campaign. Risk of widening conflict. Some reports suggest that North Korea is considering sending troops and artillery to assist Russia. Should this occur, the conflict could spill beyond Ukraine's borders, escalating into a dangerous regional war. Russia has also repeatedly demanded that NATO issue formal commitments not to expand, particularly not to include Ukraine, Georgia, or Moldova. The United States acknowledges Russia's security concerns, but has yet to offer any concrete guarantees, further complicating the situation. Humanitarian issues and war crimes. The attacks on healthcare and residential infrastructure have sparked global outrage. Additionally, there are reports alleging that some Ukrainian prisoners were executed in Donetsk, a grave violation of the Geneva Conventions. The International Criminal Court is closely monitoring the situation, though Russia denies all accusations. Assessment. An outlook on the battlefield. Russia is accelerating its summer campaign with offensives in Sumy, Dnipro, and Donetsk. However, Ukrainian forces are holding their lines and continuously striking Russian military targets deep inside enemy territory. Ukraine's use of drones and modern air defense systems is proving increasingly effective in repelling large-scale assaults. On military capabilities, Russia still holds an advantage in artillery ammunition, but is facing growing challenges in manpower and logistics due to the prolonged nature of the war. Meanwhile, Ukraine is steadily improving its defensive capacity thanks to Western aid and strong morale. Air defense systems like the Patriot, along with precision weapons and an integrated intelligence network, are enabling Kiev to respond more effectively to Russian attacks. On diplomatic prospects, while prisoner exchanges offer a glimmer of hope, the chances of achieving a ceasefire remain slim. Ukraine is determined to reclaim all occupied territory, while Russia continues to solidify its control in seized areas. The formation of military alliances supporting Ukraine is a crucial factor, strengthening its defense and applying diplomatic pressure on Russia. However, there is also a risk that these alliances could lead to broader conflict if either side perceives a direct threat. Conclusion: the war in Ukraine has reached its most intense phase since the beginning of the year. Russia is expanding its offensives on multiple fronts, while Ukraine intensifies its counterattacks deep inside Russian territory. The humanitarian crisis is worsening, and prospects for peace remain distant. The deepening involvement of Western nations is helping Ukraine hold its ground, but it also raises the risk of a wider regional conflict if not carefully managed. The world is closely watching every development, as the outcome of this war will not only determine Ukraine's fate, but also reshape the global geopolitical landscape.
Iran threatens nuclear strike on Israel if provoked. Rising tensions between Iran and Israel have escalated to a perilous new level after Tehran publicly warned it would strike Israel's nuclear facilities if its own sites were attacked. This unprecedented statement has sparked global alarm, bringing the Middle East closer than ever to a full-blown nuclear crisis. Iran strikes an unprecedented deterrent posture. Iran's Supreme National Security Council announced that if Israel launches any strike against Iran's nuclear or critical military infrastructure, Tehran will retaliate by attacking Israel's secret nuclear sites. According to Iranian authorities, they've obtained detailed intelligence, coordinates, and structural layouts on some of Israel's most sensitive nuclear installations, enabling them to respond accurately and immediately. Analysts believe this isn't just a message aimed at Israel. It's a warning to Western powers, especially the U.S., which plays a central role in Israel's intelligence and military capabilities, a fraught diplomatic landscape. This threat comes amid stalled nuclear negotiations involving Iran, the U.S., and the P5+1 powers. Meanwhile, Israel continues to threaten a unilateral strike if Iran nears full nuclear weapon capability. Latest IAEA data indicates Iran has enriched over 400 kilograms of uranium to roughly 60% purity, enough for at least 10 nuclear warheads if further refined to weapons-grade levels. IAEA warns of unintended consequences. IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi cautions that a military strike on Iran could push Tehran to abandon the Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT, and genuinely pursue nuclear weapons. Global officials fear any armed engagement could spark an uncontrollable nuclear escalation. Iran readies to release Israeli nuclear files beyond military threats. Iran is preparing to drop top-secret documents on Israel's alleged nuclear program. The Iranian intelligence minister claims they've amassed a treasure trove of files, gathered via espionage or cyber infiltration, on facilities including possibly the Sorek research reactor. Israel has never officially acknowledged its nuclear arsenal, though international estimates suggest it may possess 80 to 200 nuclear warheads. Regional fallout could be devastating. Iran and Israel engage in nuclear exchanges, the entire Middle East would be engulfed. Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq may see attacks by Iran-aligned militias like Hezbollah. Gulf states such as Saudi Arabia and the UAE would face a difficult choice between supporting the West and avoiding Iranian retaliation. Hamas and other Palestinian groups could intensify operations from Gaza. Any nuclear strike risks widespread radioactive contamination, affecting civilians, ecosystems, and global food and oil systems. U.S. and its allies are in a bind. Washington is keen to avoid direct involvement. However, its defense commitments to Israel mean it would likely retaliate if Israel were hit, itself triggering Iranian and allied responses, potentially drawing in Russia. European nations fear this conflict could trigger energy disruptions through the Strait of Hormuz, as well as new refugee waves and regional instability. A red line, the world might cross, observers warn. This is the most serious nuclear brinkmanship in the region since 2006. Without bold diplomacy and compromises, a single miscalculation could spark catastrophic consequences. Experts recommend the UN convene an emergency session and establish a supervisory mechanism involving both Iran and Israel to avert a nuclear arms spiral. Conclusion: the world at a nuclear crossroads. The current standoff between Iran and Israel is no longer theoretical. It represents a real escalating nuclear threat. Iran is testing international resolve, gauging how the West responds to overt threats. Israel remains adamant it will prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons at any cost, while the U.S. and its allies walk a tightrope between deterrence and de-escalation. The Middle East is dangerously hot, and even a small misstep could dramatically reshape global security.
Thanks for watching. See you in the next edition of World News TG, connecting you to the world with facts, insight, and clarity.